Hey everybody, Brian Gallagher here for another episode of Physical Therapy Private Practice Secrets of the Top 10%. I'm very excited to look forward to 2025. I know there has been a lot of change in 2024. So many things with the election and all the stuff and the economy and the inflation and all the bad news kind of stuff. And I am not a bad news kind of person, so I don't want to even get into all that stuff. What I want to look at is what are we going to do? What can we do? Where are we going in 2025 as physical therapists in private practice? As a small business owner, doesn't even really matter whether you're in our industry or not. So let's have this conversation. Let's get out our crystal ball and let's start putting forth some predictions. I think predictions are very likely to succeed when they're rooted in the foundations of history, when they're rooted in the foundations of your previous experience. When you decide to observe, when you decide to confront what you see, when you decide to really sit in isolation in some solace and solitude and say to yourself, where are we today? How did we get to where we are currently? What are the indicators that are presenting themselves for the future, for tomorrow? 2024 for me was a year of great change and great expansion and great development. Our virtual front desk services exploded in 2024, and some of that went really well, and some of it we really needed to learn from that experience, and it made us better. It made us stronger. It made us more, what would you say, proficient, which is the combination of productive and efficient combined. And I don't regret any of those experiences because it is what makes us who we are today. In my personal life, my daughter got married on the property of our own home, and it really just brought to light the things that I value most: family, friends, time, quality, the environment, the memory making. So let me ask you, as we sit here going into 2025, what is it that you want? What is your goal? What is your, and I know these are targets, goals, strategy. No, seriously, personally and professionally speaking, why are you doing what you're doing? What aspect of it brings you the greatest joy and pleasure? I think we have to ask ourselves that. I think that's getting lost on so many things. I think so much of our society and our economy and our culture is forcing us to look very in a very narrow-minded perspective, in a very short-sighted type of way. I get calls from practice owners just like you every week from all over the country. And I just feel like it's mechanics that people want help with. People want solutions to the mechanics. And I will share with you that if you don't have your purpose and you don't have your intended goal and product in mind as to what you want to achieve, if you don't know where your destination is, you have no chance of getting there. I needed to really soul search for myself. Where do I want to be in 12 months, 24 months, 36 months in my professional and personal life? Because I'm not separating the two. I live a personal life that feeds into my professional life. I lead a successful professional life that supports and filters into my personal life. That's the conversation I have with you when you guys are looking at Meg Academy. For those of you who've signed up and do that, and you're a member of our family in Meg Academy, you know the first hour and a half, our practice assessment call, that's what we talk about. What are the challenges in front of you? What are the obstacles from your perception? What are the geographical barriers from your perception? What are the personnel restrictions and barriers and limitations from your perspective, the financial? And let's just look at them as challenges, not problems, not stops. And then we discuss and break them down, and then we can find a pathway through. But I need to know where you want to go. Are you going on vacation and you live in Pennsylvania and you're going to Universal or Disney? You're going to Disney in California or Disney in Florida? Which destination park are you heading for? Because then we could plan out that journey. And that's what this episode's all about. 2025 predictions, 2025 realizations, I would like to call it. Prediction for realizations of gains and purpose. How do I actually realize my life purpose, my life gains, my life goals through predictions and application for realization? That is what this is all about. It's not about just making a business strat plan and putting it in a drawer and setting it somewhere. Let's look at what some of the problems are that I'm referring to. Most specifically, I had an owner reach into me just last week, and they do about 220 visits a week, average about $92 a visit, if I remember correctly. And they have an office manager who does their billing as well at $47,000 a year. No, let me correct myself. That was $62,000 a year. A front desk coordinator who works full-time for $47,000 a year. The second front desk coordinator, because you're open, 55 hours in the week, and at that volume, second person for 35 hours a week at $45,000 a year. So we add all that up, and we're talking, I don't know, let's see, that's 150, maybe 163,000. Off the top of my head, I could be wrong. Math isn't the thing for the moment. So let's say it's 163,000. Can you save 40% of that in making a unilateral decision to go end to end with all of your administrative services? And my answer to that question is you absolutely can save at least 35% of that, if not more, by making a decision, by making a choice to bring the administrative services into your practice to support your clinicians, to support your doctors of physical therapy, your PAs, your physical therapy assistants and your techs, your clinical staff, because that's the business you're in. You're in the business of serving patients clinically to help them achieve optimal health. The support services and staff that provide that are to facilitate the enhanced professional care that you're providing in physical therapy. Isn't that the decision you should be making for 2025? How can I reduce the problem of costs associated with delivering my clinical care so that I can deliver more clinical care more efficiently, more productively to a higher quality level than what I'm doing today? Goal number one should be that for 2025. So, second problem. I had an owner call up and say, I'm ready to open up, and they're going through the Startup Accelerator program, and they're doing really great. Found a good location. I reviewed the location. I looked at it. They send me pictures. This is what we do. When I work with a startup, I evaluate the site, the location, the ingress, the egress, the videos, the pictures, the size, the scope, how to design it, how to lay it out. I'm going through this process with this owner, and I'm like, this is perfect. This was a PT office once before, and now they're just going to modify, make some adjustments. It's perfect. He writes back, however, there are 6 PT offices within 3 miles of this location. Should I be concerned? My answer was no. No. The volume of residents in that location was over 250,000 within a 5-mile radius. If you have over 250,000 people within a 5-mile radius and you have 6 clinics, can you not steal market share from some of those clinics by simply doing it better, by simply being more genuine, more authentic, more original, more of an industry disruptor, providing 20% of your patients with cash-based services that they can't get elsewhere? Making sure that they feel special, making sure that you have the wall of fame when you first walk in, that you have PT practice orders that you're writing and you're scripting out for your patients, that you're doing the give me 10 drill, all of the strategies that we coach, train, and teach that differentiate you from everybody else up and down the block. Because to me, if you're going to be the highest, most successful physical therapist in your community, it's going to be because you stay to your core values, you adhere to those, you stick to those quality measurements. For our company this year, we are following the 95-95 rule. 95-95-95. I want 95% of all the people we work with, 95% of the time, 95% happy. Like almost every single wish, dream, hope, aspiration that they had coming to work with us is being met 95% of the time throughout the year with a 95% success rate. What's your marker? How do you plan to get that? I can tell you the more you invest in quality, the more you're going to get in quantity. So there's my tip for professional success in this episode. Invest in your quality to enhance your quantity, because that's what people are looking for today. So much is out there is smoke and mirrors. It's such a disastrous environment for so many services. I hardly believe anything that other service vendors tell me when I work with them, because they're just, for the most part, doing their job, and they're not taking it sincerely. They're not taking a passionate stake in it. Can you do that? Can you create that culture? I know with my staff, if something's off, they are distraught. They are emotionally invested in what they do. Tip for professional success number 2. Engage in a company culture in which the members of your team are emotionally invested in the team's efforts, in the team's goals. How do you do that? Gamification, admiration, acknowledgement, validation, in writing, in person, in view of others. Doing things within your community without asking for anything in return. I try to pick at least one thing a quarter that we do that I'm not looking for anything in return. I'm just trying to give. I just want to give. That's my tip for personal growth. I just know in my heart that if you can get to that level of sincerity and your staff can see that and your community can feel that, you will not be in competition with those other 6 clinics within 5 miles of your office. It will not happen. That will not be a concern. I understand you're watching this and you're like, Brian, help me with the mechanics, help me with the solutions, and I'm going to give them to you. But let's look at some headwinds that come along with this, because so many owners have been reaching out, especially in this last quarter for some reason. I don't know if this is going to relate to you or not. And they're saying, Brian, I'm looking at my 2024 numbers. I'm up in visits, I'm up in collections, but I'm flat in net revenue. I'm flat in my EBITDA number. I'm flat. I didn't go up any. I made and brought into my household, into my family's coffers, the same amount of money I did last year, but my costs are up. My work hustle is up. My volume of activity is up. So we worked harder and longer to make the same. That's on the good side for a lot of people. A lot of people are saying my stuff is up, but my revenue is down. Look, strategic operating procedures need to be designed and created now. If you don't have a business strat plan for 2025 and 2026, I like to look out 2 years, then you need help. You need to sit, like I have a whole spreadsheet. You just put in the things that are objective numbers, numerical values from 2024. You put in your goals, purposes, dreams, targets, statistical metrics, our KPIs, and then the spreadsheet will calculate out how you're going to achieve what you're hoping to achieve. And it'll identify where in that process, where do we need to make changes? The headwinds are the headwinds. Look, we know Medicare is looking to cut 2.93% for 2025. We know that we've gotten, in the good side, the provision of general supervision for PTAs moving into 2025. PTAs and OTAs are general supervision instead of direct supervision. We know that. We know that now the therapy plan writing, as long as you have documentation that a Medicare patient came in with an order or a referral, and you can send out a plan of care to the physician's office within 30 days of that eval, you don't have to worry about getting it back signed. These are some of the new provisions going into 2025 with Medicare you should know about. There's finer details of all of these that you can investigate yourself, but I'm just giving you the 30,000-foot view. So there's the good and the bad news, right? There's a good and bad. Let's hope Congress convenes in March and we can rescind this cut of 2.93% for 2025. But right now, it's still sitting on the books as we move into that. But let's talk about the things you do have control over. Those are the things where the effect. The more you go through business, tip for personal growth right now, the more you do things in your life that you are the effect of, the more suppressed you will feel. The more depressed you may feel. The more hamstrung you'll feel, the more restricted you'll feel, the more deflated you'll feel. If you're feeling any of those emotions, like why am I doing, you need to get around different people. You need more inspiration. You need people that are going to look at what can be done and put more cause in your lap. Put the steering wheel control more in your hands. Here's how you can do it. Here's my solutions for 2025. We know the biggest headwind going into 2025 is costs. Cost. You can't do much about reimbursement through Medicare or what Blue Cross is going to pay you. And people will argue that, and I'm fine for that. Go for it. But you have very limited influence in what the reimbursements are. But you have choices. I can go more out of network. I can do more of a hybrid practice. I can do 20% of my annual revenue through cash-based services, paid on the barrel at the time of service, no billing fee associated with that. We don't collect a billing fee on anything that's a cash-based service over the counter. So that's all revenue in your hands. That's a decision. What are the best cash-based services? Well, I know from experience, my clients that have gone to NewFit and have gotten the newbie and put that in their office, and they're using it both as skilled care and as aftercare program, hands down, wildly successful. Aftercare, optimum health and wellness through a personal fitness training program, absolutely a wonderful adjunct, a wonderful ancillary service to your practice. Don't do skilled physical therapy and call it wellness. Don't do that. That will get you into trouble these days for sure. So look at some sort of optimal health aftercare program. Total winners. Those are some really good winners. RTM, total winner. Remote therapeutic monitoring, total winner. These are things that are going to add to your bottom line that do not trace the highest level of cost to accomplish the highest level of return on investment or net revenue for doing so. So those are within your control. The biggest cost, however, is payroll. You have to tackle payroll. The income squeeze is a real thing moving in 2025. If you haven't done it yet, you really need to get sober about it and really confront it. Here's 2 things you can do. Number 1, and, if you're going to say, well, Meg Academy, Meg Business, this is what we do. We do virtual front desk and transfer verifications, authorization, virtual assistant. We do a front desk person live streaming on screen in your waiting room. Yes, we do that. Yes, we do billing. We're a billing officer, EOB cash posting officer, collections, account control officer. We can do front to end, back to back on a percent basis of what you're doing per month. No flat number, unless a flat number works more in your favor. We have a flat number scale for those services, and we have a percent number scale for those services. Whichever the 2 is lower after we do your analysis, take that. We're going to put them both in front of you. Take the lower of the 2. At that point, you don't have any payroll taxes. You don't have any health insurance coverages, no retirement plan, no liability issues. You're not staffing. You're getting sourced services. Totally different. If you do staffing, yes, you could pay some seriously reduced hourly rate, but they're your headache. They're your person to manage, train, orient, professionally enhance, cover. You don't want that, in my opinion. That's my prediction going in 2025. We know 10,000 people a week are turning 65, and that's going to continue to 2028, according to most of the reports I read. You need to capture that lion's share of this aging population. And the way you're going to do that is through greater efficiencies. By you not spending your mental attention units on the administrative side of delivering the clerical services of your business, and you diverting all of those attentions on your company culture, enhancing your clinical staff and production and quality of outcomes, and building your brand and reputation in your community. That's what a CEO does. What's my brand and reputation in my community? What's my company culture inside? What do my staff think, and how do they feel about being so blessed and gifted and honored and respected and loyal to my company and my organization? And what am I doing to professionally and personally enhance each and every one of those members so that the quality of output goes up every quarter, every year? Because the targeted goal is a minimum of 15% growth in net revenue, in GI, inpatient visits annually. I want to look at what my 2024 numbers are, and I want to target out what's it going to take to have a 15% growth in visits, a 15% growth in GI. Most important number, a 15% growth in net revenue. Minimum. Do you have a strategic plan for that? Do you know how to work back from your 2024 numbers and make that happen? If not, I can totally sit down with you and help you with that. We can build out you can just, systems of operation program. You do that, and we can go ahead and coach you through the application of populating those numbers and what the doingness is that's going to help you to achieve that. I'm giving you solutions right here in this episode. The next thing you can do in terms of dropping your payroll costs is put all of your clinicians on a pay-for-performance model, not a shared risk model. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of the faster they run on the treadmill, the more money they're going to make and the better a practice is going to do. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in getting back to why I went to PT school. Why did I become a physical therapist? Why did you become a physical therapist? What is it that motivated you for becoming a physical therapist and going through school and investing 6 years of your life minimum, according to national statistics, over $150,000 in debt, the average of grad is? Why do it for an $85,000 a year job? Because some of you are like the top 10% watching this podcast and saying, I want to own my own thing. I want to have a mobile PT practice with bricks and mortar. I just set up 2 of those where they have a start with mobile PT, but then they have a 1,200-1,300 square foot office as their home base. Those businesses do gangbusters. It's the best of both worlds. Maybe that's what you want to do. But if you're in that top 10%, you look around and you're like, a snapshot of me today at $85,000, $90,000 a year possibly, and a snapshot of me in 5 years, 10 years. I might make $5,000, $10,000 more a year, and I'm going to be dictated to as to when I can take a break, when I can have lunch, when I can have a vacation. For some people, majority of people, that's okay. They love that. They get paid that. They go home. They don't think about it. They're exchanging time for money. But for those of you that are like me and you're blissfully discontent, I'm happy what I'm doing. I'm loving being a therapist. But I'm just so discontent. I can do more. I am capable of more. And this game of life isn't going to be this 50th trip on the Monopoly board playing the same board game every single year after year. And I'm gaining every $5,000 you gain in wages is $96 a week. Woo! Got a $5,000 raise. Woo! I'm not saying that's like a bad thing, but I'm like, let's just be real. That's one night out of dinner of 4. And you just blew that for the week, right? It's $96 a week. The average physical therapist in private practice ought to be making $180,000 to $250,000 a year. If they're not doing that and you don't have that going on in your total exchange with yourself for the risk that you've taken, something's wrong. Something is wrong. It should not be a $120,000 gig per year. It should, and even in the lowest reimbursed areas of the country, $150,000 minimum. And I'm not even happy with that. And I'm not talking all about the money. That's not what this show's about. But I figured I'd end the year with some reality. Like, why do people call Meg Business Management? Why do they sign up for our services or hire me as their coach? Which I give 15 to 20 minute coaching sessions, as many as you want for free. I don't charge anything for that from my Meg clients. You can book as many sessions with me as I will guide, direct, help in the application and implementation of every single fragment, every single minute of your learning for your benefit. I'm not winning if you're not winning. Find other groups that believe that and hold them dear, pull them close. That's what this podcast is about. That's what my YouTube channel is about, connecting you with those resources. I have banking resources. I have product resources. I have EMR resources. I have virtual front desk hardware software resources, owners, CEOs that I work with very closely that support all of my clients. I love them dearly because they pass the savings on to our people. That's why I mentioned NewFit, because that's what they're about. And so many other companies, PT Wired, super great guys. I love the company. I can name more and more, and I don't want to offend anybody. There's so many that I work with, and I just threw a couple at you. Pay for performance is where it's at, because you're going to reward your clinical staff based on quality, based on efficiency, and based on production. Quality, efficiency, and production. Not how fast they can run on the job. You got to see more patients. No, those days are over. You have to reward them based on quality, efficiency, and production. That leads me to my next thing. When was the last time you had a sit down with all of your clinical staff and you say, you know what, let's talk about code utilization. Let's talk about how you could properly utilize your codes. Here's a thought. If I'm educating my patient, making a long-term gain and benefit on their home activities and their home application, their home ergonomics, am I utilizing 97535? If I'm working with somebody 3 sets of 10 repetitions with a TheraBand simulating putting milk in the fridge, am I billing 97110 Therax, or am I billing 97530 therapeutic activity, which is a higher reimbursed code for that activity? If my intention is just to do deltoid strengthening, it's therapeutic exercise. If my intention is to simulate putting milk in a fridge for an improved functional activity, it's therapeutic activity. And the list goes on and on and on. The 8-minute rule, the 8 to 23-minute rule, the commercial, utilization of time for code utilization, the Medicare system of code utilization based on time. These items have to be clarified. They have to be educated. They have to be enforced. They have to be encouraged. They have to be written. You need a learning management system inside your practice that isn't your voice. Because when you talk to your therapist about better code utilization, better clinical efficiency, they think you want to buy a bigger boat. Of course you want me to put down more units. You want me to bill more. No. As a physical therapist owner, tell your clinicians you don't do billing. They're not billers. No physical therapist on planet Earth has anything to do with billing. That is the biggest misconception, and you can clear that up. You can fix that in 2025. You can tell them, no, what I'm talking to you about is having a higher exchange in abundance with each and every patient, with each and every treatment engagement. Don't you see? This is going to result in better code utilization. This is going to result in better production. This is going to result in better clinical efficiency. If you're running a practice today and you're not seeing 55 to 65 visits per week for a full-time therapist on a 40-hour work week, my question is why? Like, what schedule are you using? Now, some of you, I'm in the Pacific Northwest and I'm averaging 135 visits. I'm still one-on-one, one patient per hour. Well, good. While those leprechauns are still throwing their pots of gold at you, you should take it. If you can afford to do that as a 1-hour treatment session at 135, but you know what you got with that? You got higher salaries. You have higher costs. You have higher, I know, because I talk to owners in Northern California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho. I know they're competing with Taco Bell and Walmart and other, Amazon, paying $25 an hour for somebody to work their front desk, for somebody to do some of their admin functions, $22, $23 an hour. This was a job that was $15, $16 an hour for the last 2 decades. And yeah, so you're making 135 visits and you can do this one-on-one clinical care, but guess what? Your admin costs are through the roof. How do you offset that? Look around. But you find somebody who knows what they're doing and they're going to provide the service, not a person. That person ups and goes, you're reducing payroll costs, reducing other labor costs. The fewer people you have payroll, the fewer costs you have in recruitment, replacement, and training and re-education. That all costs you money. But my point is, what are your 3 options in terms of the ideal schedule? Patients coming in every half hour, staying 55 to 65 minutes. Top 10% of clinics nationwide do that for the most part because they're not making $135 a visit. The 40-minute schedule, the next best schedule on planet Earth. The 40-minute schedule, you're going to help more people, provide more one-on-one care, get better utilization, better application, better work-life balance. The 45-minute schedule is third. Okay? Course last is the every 60-minute schedule. But that's only for the select group that are still, hanging out with the leprechauns. Yeah, well, the getting's good, right? Keep it. But those days are numbered. And you know it. Because we've been talking about it, because your labor costs are catching up with you and the reimbursement is getting pushed down. Moving on from there, better financial management. How much are you running through your business that's a write-off? Cars, insurance, tires, oil, gas, cell phones, the list goes on. Life insurance. As an owner, are you financially savvy to reduce your out-of-pocket expenses personally from your household because you can offset your cost and write-offs in the business? Talk to somebody who really knows, who can help and guide you with that. What are you paying yourself in terms of a salary compared to distributions? Pay yourself in a salary that's comparable to that role of a therapist that you're playing, and then pay yourself distributions on the other side, and then talk to your accountant about it. Run off. I'm not an accountant. I can't give financial advice, but you can surely talk to somebody, get some food for thought, and then bring it to your accountant and say, what about this? If you don't know the questions to ask, you're not going to get the answers you could benefit from. That's how it works, right? Management by statistics. This is my last message. Management by statistics. The more you hold in accountability, the greater results you're going to have in your practice. My crystal ball tells me if you can manage with the 64 key statistics, you know what clinical efficiency is, you know what the average 3.75 units per session is, you know what, the net promoter score is from your staff, you know how to gain success stories and testimonials, and you know how to put this in front of your referral sources, and you know how to go direct to consumer because you have SEO, search engine optimization. You are second to no one. If you want to learn cutting edge applications and technologies like this to be a differentiator and disruptor in 2025, and you want to be flat, you don't want your net revenue to be flat, or you're a physical therapy private practice provider, physical therapist, I meant to say staff therapist, and you're looking around saying, I'm making that $88,000, and he's right. In 5 or 10 years, I'm going to be making 95, maybe 98 if I'm lucky. I've got to make a change. I've got to own this operation. I'm a good therapist and good people want to work with me and I can make it happen. Then do it. 2025 is your year. Do it. If you plan to open up within the next 18 months, now is the time to learn what you need to know in advance of needing to know it. That's my message. That's my hope. Happy New Year to everybody. Happy 2025. Let's do it. As always, start each and every day expecting to do well.